Wonder Woman. Wednesday.
Oh my gosh, we're back! Temporarily. I am so glad to be with you guys again. I have missed doing this podcast. We are unfortunately on an unanticipated extended break due to an avalanche of complications. Death in the family, a hurricane, the rise of fascism, and I quit my day job to be a full-time actor, which, as we know, is terrible advice. For those and other reasons, our home has been utter chaos, but most of that has been winding down, so I've had a moment to breathe and get this episode out as kind of a check-in to let you know that Wonder Woman Wednesdays is still here. Now, we still have another life change in the works. It's big and it's going to consume the next couple of months, so I'm projecting that we will dive into Season 2 of Wonder Woman this summer of 2025. I'm hoping to have all the guests that we've had so far, plus I've talked to a few additional guests, but we've still got a lot of episodes to fill. Season 1 was just a half a season. So if you are a Wonder Woman cosplayer, please contact me. I would love to have you on this podcast. Just go to WonderWomanWednesdays.com and follow the link to the email. Now, let's get right to it. This was an experimental crossover episode that was broadcast live on Facebook last August as a Real Guys live stream, which I explain more in the episode. I'm posting the video version on our YouTube channel so you can see our lovely cosplay guest, Katie Maravilla, and her awesome outfit. And also, my beer belly. Why not? Without further ado, here are the Real Guys and Friends discussing the 2011 David E. Kelley Wonder Woman pilot that never was on Wonder Woman Wednesday. Oh my gosh. Are we live? We're live. Hi, everybody. We are the Real Guys and Friends, and also Wonder Woman Wednesdays.
Yay!
And this is our big live event. Sorry, I've been running around like a nut trying to set all this up.
What time did you get here?
2 o'clock.
Okay.
I don't know. You got a little frost. You got a little.
That's all right.
I don't.
For later.
I don't know if this is working audio-wise. I hope. These mics are here to pick up the recorded podcast.
Yes.
But I've got the phone for the live stream way over there, so hopefully you can hear us. I don't know.
I'm just hoping for the best.
So this is Katie. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Katie is our cosplayer today, and by gosh, she's sitting down in a corset. So at some point during the broadcast today, you will be leaving us to change.
Yes, I'm coming back as Diana Prince.
Diana Prince.
Yes,
Nice.
100%.
Perfect. That's going to be cool. Also, at some point during the broadcast, we will need more beer. So maybe you can help us with that.
I can do that. That is what I'm here for, really.
No. You're here with your effervescent presence to enhance us with some class.
That was a nice
Classing
word.
up the joint.
Very demure.
So here's the deal. So this is both the Real Guys and Wonder Woman Wednesdays, the podcast. You can pull that a little closer here.
Yeah.
We want to hear you.
Okay.
And so just for the benefit of each audience that's not familiar with the other entity.
Audience.
Hello. I'm just going to tell you briefly what each entity is about, right? So Wonder Woman Wednesdays is a podcast that I started about a year and a half ago.
Uh-huh.
I talk about the classic Wonder Woman TV show with Linda Carter, and I interview a cosplayer with each show. Katie was, you, aside from my wife, you were the first person I talked to.
Yes, outside of the wife. Wife always first.
Wife always first. That's how we do. So thank you for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talk about the show, and occasionally we have, like today, a special episode that's not necessarily about the Linda Carter show, but about something Wonder Woman adjacent.
Wonder Woman adjacent is a good way to put that.
And I will say that I am a guy who loves TV I'm not necessarily a comic book guy. I've said this many times.
Yes.
So when I talk about Wonder Woman, I'm talking about the different iterations of Wonder Woman on TV.
Yes.
Because I have rarely read the comic book. And I admit that, and that is, that's part of my deal. So, that's Wonder Woman Wednesdays. Now, the real guys, that's me and Jackie O.
That's us too.
We work together. We've been working together for 15 years, give or take.
Somewhere around in there.
Yeah, and somewhere like 2013 or 2014, we work at a TV station. I won't divulge the name.
We won't divulge the location.
And we work behind the scenes, but at some point in 2013 or 2014, we were asked to do a movie review segment for one of our live shows. And so we did that, and we were successful enough and got a sponsor.
Off.
That's right. So we got to do movie hosting on the weekends, like my idol Sven Gulli. We would host a 2 o'clock movie or 4 o'clock, I don't remember which.
I think it was 4.
The 4 o'clock movie on Saturdays on the CW affiliate.
Yes.
And we would do like sketch comedy, and we would do sketch comedy either related to the movie that we were hosting or related to a movie coming out. So like when Wonder Woman came out, we did a sketch with you.
Yes.
That was when I got to meet you. I think Jackie knew you before that.
Yes.
And that was through like SC Comic Con, is that right?
Was that how we met?
We knew each other beforehand.
I think so. Yeah. I can't remember
But
how.
it's strange. That may have been the first time we actually saw each other in person.
Possibly, yeah.
Right
Either
on.
way, rest is history.
The rest
They're
is history.
stuck with me now.
Yes.
Yes.
Forever.
Yes. Which is awesome. So Jackie, so we were on TV locally.
Yes, we were.
We were world famous.
We were big famous stars.
Until we got kicked off television.
Yes.
And they let us keep our day job behind the scenes, but so we started doing live videos here
Yes.
with fewer restrictions
And
than the
where is
FCC.
here?
What's that?
Where's here?
Well, this is the Cyclops Cidery and Brewery in Spartanburg, on St. John's Street.
I almost let you field that when she asked. Stan
I don't
had
know
the
if you know.
hardest time remembering St. John Street. He knew St. John, but he kept saying road,
It looks like an avenue to me.
avenue, way, anything but street. He would say.
I've now started getting it right. I get it correctly now. So we do our live video here, and we talk about movies and we talk about beer. So speaking of that, what are you drinking today?
Me?
Me?
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
It's
You
the number
can't remember.
16. It's the Golden Nugget. Pale,
Oh, okay.
Pale ale.
Oh, I
Pale
almost
ale.
went
Nice.
that route.
And what did you get?
I got a pineapple cider.
Nice.
My go-to.
Those are good.
I have Adam's birthday suit.
Ah, yes. Yeah, our friend Adam is slinging the drinks today.
That's right.
That was his birthday present beer.
Yeah, and it's good. It's really good. It's an IPA. I like IPAs. All right.
Milkshake IPA?
Yes, it is a milk, and I don't usually like the milkshake ones, but
Yeah.
it's very easy on the milk.
Yeah.
So, okay, so here's the thing. When I say Wonder Woman adjacent,
What are we
we're-
talking about?
What we're talking about is the 2011 Wonder Woman TV reboot pilot. I used to call it the Adrianne Palicki Wonder Woman pilot, but now that I've seen it, and I don't want to talk too much about the quality of this program, but I don't want to slander her by calling it the Adrianne Palicki pilot anymore. So I'm going to call it the David E. Kelly pilot because he's the writer and producer responsible for this piece of work.
For this
Exactly, yeah.
steaming heat.
So as I do, so before we get into the details of this wonderful pilot, as I like to do on the podcast, I want to talk a little bit about the world that existed when the pilot came out.
Okay.
This pilot did not actually come out, but it happened. Like,
Yeah.
it got to a test audience. That's as far as it got. And so we're talking about, it came out at the beginning, or it was completed in the first half of 2011. So I want to talk about 2010, because that's, I think, the year that, when we're talking about the environment from which this was birthed,
Yes.
that might be what we're talking about.
This was
So,
birthed.
so very quickly and briefly, 2010, right? So politically, it was the second year of the Obama presidency, where he introduced in March and signs, I think in October, the Affordable Care Act. That was like one of the big things that happened that year, especially for Mr. Obama. That was a big deal. Also,
yeah, that's kind of a big thing.
Yeah, and speaking of politics, that's when the Tea Party was growing. They had their first big national convention that year.
Which, funny enough, they originally called themselves Tea Baggers, but then 15-year-old boys snickered whenever they would call themselves that, and they changed their name to the Tea Party.
Yes. An illustrious history, those Tea Party people. Also, the don't ask, don't tell policy for the military was in and out of the courts all year, and finally was repealed by a special congressional bill towards the end of the year. That is, well, I don't want to get into politics too much, but I believe that came from the Clinton presidency, strangely enough.
It did.
It did.
So in January, Citizens United versus the FEC, the Supreme Court rules the First Amendment prohibits the restrictions on political expenditures by corporations, associations, and unions. So Citizens United is something that still affects us today. The Winter Olympics took place in Vancouver that year, in February. In March, Catherine Bigelow's The Hurt Locker wins at the Oscars, tying the number of nominations with Avatar. Everyone has opinions about Avatar.
Yes, yes, they do. And some of those opinions are negative.
Some.
What do you think of Avatar, Katie?
I always go to the Last Airbender Avatar. I have to be told it's Blue People Avatar.
The Blue People Avatar.
The Blue People Avatar. I love the Blue People Avatar, I will say.
The first one, yeah. It was all right.
Oh, yeah.
It was all right. That's the kind of glowing endorsement it needs. It was all right.
Okay, the Dow. The Dow crashes 1,000 points over the summer as the country is still struggling out of the subprime mortgage crisis from 2008. So we're still like swimming in that 2008 crash. Also, the Deepwater, this is in April, the Deepwater Horizon explodes in the Gulf of Mexico, kills 11 workers, and results in the worst environmental disaster in U.S. history. We call that the BP oil spill now.
BP oil spill.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking.
But at the time, it was the Deepwater Horizon, which sounds pretty ominous. I think that wasn't that a movie? I think it wound up being a movie. But it sounds
Deepwater?
Deepwater was one.
Yeah.
Event Horizon was
Event Horizon, that's what I'm thinking of. No, but yes, that's the movie I'm thinking of, but they
you
did.
have to follow his mind.
Fair enough.
It's all over the place. Okay, a new social media platform is launched in July called Instagram. Crazy.
Ow. I didn't know we were going to discuss our ages here, Stan.
Well, we're getting there, because I want to ask what each of you was doing in 2010. If you want to disclose that, you don't have to.
Kindergarten.
In August, the last U.S. combat troops leave Iraq, and Obama declares at the end of combat operations in Iraq. And that's important because it comes up a couple of times in this pilot.
Yeah.
Like, specifically, they talk about Abu Ghraib, they talk about torture, and there's just something about the script that I feel like it was developed over a number of years while the Iraq War was still going on.
Don't they mention the Patriot Act in this?
They do. They talk about the Patriot Act. The whole thing about, there's a lot about, at least for me, maybe it stood out for me, a lot about torture.
Yes.
And whether or not torture is a legitimate way to get intel.
Yeah.
And that was a discussion that people were having in like the second half of the aughts, like from the middle of the, like 2004 is when the Abu Ghraib scandal happened. And from then on, the devil himself, Dick Cheney, was talking about the value of torture as a means to get intel.
Effective means of.
And I'm not wise enough to comment on whether or not that's okay, but I will comment on whether I think it's okay to say Wonder Woman thinks it's okay. Because I have an opinion about that.
I do have an opinion about that.
I do have an opinion. Okay, so that's kind of the world at large. Movies that were big that year: Avatar, we mentioned, Iron Man 2, Despicable Me, Toy Story 3, Salt, Machete. Biggest movie of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, best.
Shutter Island, Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr., The Expendables, The Social Network, The Blind Side, Predators, Kick-Ass, and Black Swan.
That's a pretty good year for movies.
Yeah, it was.
And
It
for
was.
Robert Downey Jr. too, apparently.
Yes. A very good year for him.
It was a profitable year for young.
In TV, reality TV was really big that year.
Yes, unfortunately.
American Idol was the #1 show. Also, Dancing with the Stars was #2.
Yes.
My favorite. You got NCIS, The Mentalist, Body of Proof, Criminal Minds, lots of procedurals, right? The Good Wife, CSI, The Big Bang Theory, Blue Bloods, 2.5 Men, The Voice, Hawaii Five-0, Desperate Housewives, Grey's Anatomy, Survivor, Harry's Law, CSI Miami, Castle, Undercover Boss, Modern Family, The Bachelor, Bones, and Mike and Molly. Now, as part of...
What did you think of, what is that? Castle.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I will admit that I gave up watching it somewhere in season 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It didn't hold my interest, but I loved it, partly
We love
because...
seeing Nathan Fillion again.
Yes, I was so glad he had work. I want to support him. You know, put money in that guy's pockets. So, yes, yeah, it had to do with Firefly. Okay, so also, I normally do music, like what was big in music that year, but I looked at the top 20. I didn't recognize one song.
Okay.
And I only recognized like 3 names, like Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, and Pitbull. I just saw a meme today that Justin Bieber was making it big in 2010. He was just getting started.
Oh,
The Biebs.
congrats on the baby or whatever.
That's right.
Right,
He's having.
yeah.
That's why he was in the news. Yeah, he's having a baby. The Biebs. Okay, so that's.
My mom will be happy.
Do you remember anything about music
No.
back then?
I was actually getting married and having my son, so I was just miserable
Oh,
that year.
Okay.
Just being big. That was it. I did binge watch a lot of those shows during that time, though.
Oh,
so
yeah. They're bingeable.
That's fair. I contributed.
Yeah. So in 2010, so I was 43, and I was in the best shape of my life. I was like 40 pounds less than what you see before you right now. And it was because, I was working at a regional theater, the Commonweal Theater in Lanesboro, Minnesota. And so I was just doing theater all year.
So meals were few and far between.
There was that. I was actually waiting tables, so I could get like discounted food. But I was in a show where I had to be like almost totally nude on stage, and nobody wanted to see that. So I panicked and just like worked my ass off. I became a runner. I was running that year, all year. And like I said, 40 pounds less. I was absolutely the healthiest I've ever been. Even when I was in my 20s, I was smoking and not really exercising. So anyway, that was a good year for me. It was inspiring to look at that and also depressing. So I want to start working out again. How about you, Jackie O?
I have no idea what I was doing.
It's all a blur.
It is. Yeah, I got nothing.
Okay. Do you know how old you were? Or do you want to say?
Let's see. In 2010,
It was 14 years ago.
I would have been 36.
Nice. That's a good year.
Yeah.
That's also a good year for nothing remarkable to happen.
Yeah.
I was taking care of that for you, Jackie.
And you were in kindergarten.
Yes.
Okay.
I was actually getting married to my son's father, and then shortly after having my son. So
All right.
it was the year of me and the couch.
You
for
and the
sure.
couch. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of the couch.
That's kind of every year for Stan.
That is every year.
And the couch.
Whenever, any chance I get. Oh my gosh. I have the best couch and the best TV. I'm so happy. It's been a lifelong dream fulfilled. Thanks to Costco. All right. So, we're going to talk about this episode, this Wonder Woman 2011, right? Okay, so here's a brief timeline. So, in October 2010, Warner Brothers and David E. Kelley pitched the pilot to all the networks. Nobody wanted it. And then eventually in January, they talked NBC into it.
Okay.
And they immediately get Adrianne Palicki, which makes me think that he had his eye on her right away.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame him for. I think
No, she's gorgeous.
yeah, and once again, I don't want to talk too much about it at this point, but I will say, with a different script, she would have been a fantastic Wonder Woman.
Yes.
You know?
She could have been.
Yeah. So, the remaining cast was hired in March. Also awesome. I love the whole cast. I will tell you that.
I was a big fan of some of the surprises I got watching that.
100%.
So the production, they work on the production in March and April. They show it to test audiences. By May, the whole thing is killed.
It's tanked.
NBC says, let's not show this to anybody else. And in fact, like when
In fact, the test audience was shot soon after, just so no one could. So you put our lives in danger here, Stan.
Yeah, and I will say I want to thank the person that made this available to me, but I won't disclose the name for legal reasons because Warner Brothers really wants this not to be seen by anybody.
Go away, as they should.
Like periodically, it's been available on YouTube, but I tried to upload it to a private YouTube channel so you guys could watch it, and immediately it was like you forget it.
Post this.
Warner Brothers told us no, so
I had no idea this was even a thing until you told us about it.
I've heard
no.
about it periodically, and I've seen the picture of Adrianne Palicki, and the first bunch of times I saw that, I thought it was like a cosplay or something.
Same.
Yeah. And then somebody said, no, they did a whole pilot. And I'm like, really? And
They left out the cop cars, though.
no cop cars, but they had the plane. Like, they had the jet there. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I know. They had the strangest insert commentary, like they showed a street from above and it said, add police cars.
Yeah, so they didn't want to spend too much on effects for this. So what we saw was a completed, like, acting-wise and to some degree, some of the practical effects were there, but no special effects. So, like, if they were going to put, like, let's say her plane was flying through the air, and they wanted to add effects to put, like, a trail behind it or something, or some flashing lights or whatever, they would have a little code in the bottom of the screen, and then sometimes they would put an actual description like add police cars,
Yeah.
or in one scene they said darken pants, because she's walking away with these blue shiny leather pants, and they're like darken those pants.
Darken those pants.
So it was. I mean, it had music and it had sound effects. So it was weirdly complete, but you could tell that there were certain things that weren't there, and it was all visual effects. So okay. So as I said, the guy responsible for this, David E. Kelley. Okay.
What else has he done?
So he's a producer writer. He's done L.A. Law. That was one of his big things. Doogie Howser, Picket Fences, Chicago Hope, Ally McBeal. This was the big thing right before this was Ally
That's
McBeal.
the one.
Yeah.
The Practice, Boston Public, Boston Legal, Harry's Law, The Lincoln Lawyer. You might see a theme here. He's an actual lawyer. And so that's why he's written all these law things.
These law shows.
And it's weird that he's a lawyer, because if you analyze this particular episode, it's about flouting the legal system. It's about taking the Constitution and, like, throwing it in the fire.
Yes.
You know? I mean, I get ahead of myself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so the director, Jerry Reiner, he's from Friday Night Lights, which is where Adrianne Palicki comes from. What's it?
Jeffrey or Jerry?
Jeffrey, I'm sorry. I think I said Jerry.
I was
It's
like,
Jeffrey.
wait a minute.
So Adrianne Palicki obviously got the lead role. She's from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's where I know her from, really. And the Orville, she's done that.
Oh, yeah.
And she comes from Friday Night Lights too. And so Etta Candy, which is like one of the, other than Steve Trevor, Etta Candy is one of the only names they pulled from the comic. I mean, she doesn't resemble that character in any way. She is Diana's assistant, but that's Tracy Toms, and she's from Rent, The Devil Wears Prada, Death Proof, and so she was in Death Proof with Zoe Bell. And Zoe Bell, of course, is one of the great stunt people in the world, and the way I learned about Zoe Bell was she was in the movie Double Dare with Jeannie Epper, who was the original Wonder Woman's one of her main stunt doubles.
Oh.
Double Dare is a great documentary. She was basically Zoe Bell's mentor when she came to the United States, after she had done Xena. So there.
So there you have it.
So there it is. Okay, now she called Carrie Elways her CEO. She appears to be the CEO of this company, but I think she's the owner and president, and then Carrie Elways is the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you figured this?
Well, she says in the scene with Elizabeth Hurley, "This is my CEO, so and so." So he has to be the CEO, right?
Right.
Because David E. Kelly said so in his little
In
script.
this little script. In this little script of yours.
So, and Carrie Elways. He's Princess Bride, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, Saw, all this stuff. One of the interesting things on his IMDb is like he mostly plays Americans, but he's British.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will say that maybe it's because I know he's British, but I could kind of hear his like weird sort of American accent in this.
It was weird.
Yeah.
100%.
It took me a minute to catch that it was him because of that.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, the guy I'm looking at looks exactly like Carrie Elvis, but he sounds weird.
Well, I will tell you, part of the reason I think that it was hard to recognize him, like I was not aware of this in 2010, or 2011, but these hairstyles are terrible. Like, how do you make Carrie Elways look like a goofball? Like, he's a handsome dude. And with that hair, I think it was the hair.
It was that, but the accent too. Like, I legitimately had to stop it and go look it up because I kept going back and forth.
Yeah.
As
On
to
a
whether or
theory.
not that's him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the guy who played Steve Trevor, his hair was like unacceptable.
It really was.
Unacceptable. Like, it was not a crew cut. I don't know what it was. But it looked like he was like a young high school football player
Yes.
who'd come out of the shower and hadn't attended to his hair. That's what he looked like to me.
Was that the style then?
I think it was. That's what, like, I think I missed that. Because, like, I had my own hair problems, but it was all related to theater. So,
My own hair problem.
my own hair problems. So Steve Trevor, that was Justin Bruning. He was Jamie Martin on All My Children for a very long time. Also Cal Maddox on something called Sweet Magnolias. I don't know what that is exactly. But guess who was in this? Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal.
That was a lovely surprise.
Yes, it was.
I was like, you know what? Now you really have my attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was great.
And so, of course, we know him from Narcos, Game of Thrones, Mandalorian, Last of Us, and Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes.
Had he done anything before this, or
He had done...
Little things here and there.
Yeah, like none of this big stuff. I tried to take note of that, but I didn't actually write it down.
Okay. It's
He-
one of those
but
things
he was around.
I'm sure I'll remember.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the beautiful Veronica Cale is played by Elizabeth Hurley from Austin Powers, Bedazzled, and Passenger 57.
I was even loving seeing her in it too. She
Yeah.
plays a good villain.
She's a great villain. And I will say, out of, for all my problems with this script, I love that she had a female villain. He did that right.
Yes.
Like, you have to start her off with a female villain, for sure. Who am I missing? So the stunt people for the fight scene, which was one of the highlights for me, the fight scene. So Wonder Woman's stunt double is Shauna Duggins. She was the stunt double for Cameron Diaz in Charlie's Angels in 2000, and Jennifer Garner in the current Deadpool Wolverine movie.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
She's Jennifer Garner's stunt double.
kicking ass.
Yeah. And Elizabeth Hurley's stunt double is Jessie Graff, and she's been doing stunt work since Live Free or Die Hard in 2007. And she was Adrianne Palicki's stunt double in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and did stunts for the 2017 Wonder Woman and was Gal Gadot's stunt double in Wonder Woman 1984. So, great stunt people.
I love that they're all attached still to the Wonder Woman.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, my gosh, we've only now gotten to the relevant conundrum. How are you both doing?
Yeah, I'm out of beer. So.
You're out of beer. Oh my gosh. And you're
I'm
almost
uncomfortable.
out. And you're uncomfortable. Okay, so how about this? I will go over the synopsis of the show, which you guys already know.
Yeah.
And you go get a beer, and why don't you change into something?
I'll come back as Diana Prince.
Yes.
Do that.
Perfecto. All right.
And just talk to yourself for a minute.
I'm sorry, it's just me, you guys. Okay, so very briefly, and I'm sorry I don't have my glasses, but I printed this in big letters so it'd be easier to read. Okay, so here's the description of this plot. We start out in a low-income neighborhood, a family celebration for a teenage boy named Willis getting accepted to college. He gets an acceptance letter. He suddenly collapses, bleeding from his eyes. Very shocking, even for a TV show. Meanwhile, on Hollywood Boulevard, Wonder Woman chases down a super-fast perpetrator. She lassos him by the neck, yanks him back, sticks a hypo in his neck, and takes some blood from him before sliding him over to the police. And she literally kicks him over to the police, and he slides across the pavement. Wonder Woman returns to the headquarters of Themyscira Industries, a large corporation which she runs as the CEO. Well, this description, which I borrowed partly from Wikipedia, says she's the CEO, but we were just talking about Carrie Elways is the CEO, so she's the president and owner, I think. She does that as her alter ego, Diana Themyscira. Themyscira Industries owns and operates the concept of Wonder Woman as both a privately run crime-fighting operation and for marketing the image of Wonder Woman as a role model to the outside world through marketing. Interesting. There are some similarities there to Batman, to Iron Man, but we can talk about that. Exhausted from being her own president and owner, she decides to create a third identity for herself, Diana Prince, so that she can live alone as a cat lady, creating an ancient-looking Facebook profile and watching romantic comedies. So as she watches The Notebook with Ryan Gosling, she has a flashback of dumping Steve Trevor in Washington, D.C. Yeah. So back at Themyscira Industries, after a visit from the mother of the hospitalized boy from the opening scene, his name is Willis, Diana holds a press conference calling out evil businesswoman Veronica Cale. She owns a pharmaceutical company for distributing an illegal performance-enhancing drug that gives users like high school football players superhuman strength, endurance, but can also cause death after repeated use. So Veronica Cale visits and confronts Diana in person to intimidate her and threaten legal action. As Diana has no evidence, she may succeed. This threat is underscored by a visit from a congressman that Cale has in her pocket. He's played by Edward Herrmann, who I didn't talk about, but he's from Lost Boys, and he had a great role in MASH. He played a doctor who freaks out. I think it's called Heal Thyself, Dr. Heal Thyself, or something like that. Anyway, and he threatens her with criminal investigation for being a vigilante with no oversight. Later, the college-bound teenager Willis dies from drug complications, and Diana is galvanized to confront Cale as Wonder Woman, but she doesn't know how to catch her. So she visits the super soldier she put in the hospital, yes?
I'm just waving.
Oh.
Hi.
Jackie O is back.
I'm back.
She visits the super soldier she put in the hospital, but he's under guard. The police lieutenant and ally, Pedro Pascal, at first warns her to stay away, but she convinces him to let her, why is there a blank page here? To let her into the super soldier's room, where she brutally tortures information out of him.
Does she, though?
Well, she threatens to break his arm, and then the camera goes out to the hallway, and then the guy screams at the top of his lungs.
Yes.
So, and then they show her talking nonchalantly with Pedro Pascal, and she's got all the info.
Right.
So, she did something horrible.
But I mean, she has the lasso of truth.
But she didn't use it.
Why?
Well, because I think because like in this show, they I'm good, thank you. In this show, they didn't have that particular. She didn't use that power. Like she never used it.
She caught him with it.
She caught him with it,
But-
and she put it like on his chest. Like I thought she was going to use it, right? Like
Because
as
I mean,
a
it was
lasso
like
of truth.
glowing or some shit, right?
It's glowing when she uses it sometimes. Like that's like the missing special effects.
Right.
We don't know when it's glowing. but then she like threatens to break his arm, and then the camera goes
outside.
outside, and we hear him scream. Like, what am I supposed to think?
Yeah.
I think she broke his arm. I mean, he's in a hospital. He'll get it fixed.
Yeah, I mean, they do that there.
So, I mean, I guess since we weren't there, we don't know what happened. But she got the intel, right?
She got it from him.
So now she knows where the lab is and where Veronica Cale is creating these super soldiers. And Lieutenant Pascal agrees that once she breaks in there, and I'm condensing this a little bit.
Lieutenant Pascal, I like that.
I'm sorry, I couldn't remember.
Couldn't remember his name.
It's going to be once Wonder Woman enters, it's going to be a crime scene, so he can go in without a warrant. So he's all in on this forget the Constitution stuff, you know.
He does kind of just say, you can't do this, you can't do this. Okay, maybe you can.
Exactly. All right, so Wonder Woman arrives at Cale's facilities, defeats all of her superpowered henchmen, killing some of them, which is a new thing for. I meant to ask you, like, what is your background with Wonder Woman? How much do you know about the TV Wonder Woman?
Not as much as you.
Okay, like what I would say is anybody who's familiar with the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, for
She's
sure,
not a killer.
She would never She would do anything to avoid killing somebody, and certainly wouldn't torture them.
Yes.
So, but like in this fight, I don't know. So Jackie O's like version of the pilot
froze with 10 minutes left.
somewhere, but yeah, and it was right before this great fight.
Yes.
But she whips a pipe down the hall and impales this dude.
I caught that. That little bit played.
Yes. So like that was ruthless, and it kind of didn't have to happen. I mean, it was also, you know, as a fan of action television, that was also like a cool kill, but it was like not. It shouldn't have been by Diana Prince or
Right.
Wonder Woman. Here's Diana Prince.
Speaking
How's
of.
it going?
Yeah.
There was somebody
Love
here
that.
that looked just like you a moment ago.
So
I bet
I'm-
she was pretty.
Oh, she was. Beautiful.
So I'm still struggling through this synopsis, right? Okay, so there's the fight. She kills people. She confronts Cale. Cale threatens to release security footage of the Wonder Woman killing henchmen, but Wonder Woman responds by pulling Cale down with her lasso and throwing her against the wall. That's her way of negotiating. So
Reasonable.
Wonder Woman, with the cops joining her, finds the lab, finds the deformed test subjects, and you know they're victims of this super soldier test.
Were they deformed?
Well, she says in the show many of the subjects were deformed. Like that's the intel that she got from the guy
Okay.
in the hospital whose arm she probably broke.
Whose arm, we're not sure, because she put the lasso of truth on him
But didn't
and then apparently broke his arm to get information out of him.
yeah.
I feel like that's a legitimate means.
So she says they're deformed, and then she goes through there, and they have like makeup on that makes them look like, you know, one guy's got like a giant head, and you know, so
Okay, yeah, that's
I
fair.
think that's probably one of the places where they were going to add visual effects,
Add
maybe.
more effects.
But I didn't notice like if there was a code in the screen. So Diana returns to Themyscira Industries, where she's applauded for her heroism. And I know they were going to fix all this, but they used the same "We love you, Wonder Woman," like from the first scene, like that same crowd chant, which was like weirdly out of place in the second one, because like she just killed a bunch of people and like broke the law like 10 different ways. And then she comes in and everyone applauds. "We love you, Wonder Woman." It's weird. So
It's weird, man.
And then Edda's like, "Unfortunately, you still have a lawyer here from the Justice Department that's going to talk to you." And so she goes to her office, and it's Steve Trevor, who is now the lawyer from the Justice Department. And he, in the spirit of the whole show, decides to throw away any ethics that he has, and any job he's supposed to do. And he's like, "Well, I'll just write down that you did what you needed to do," or whatever, He's like, whatever. Like, he's supposed to be there investigating her, and he's got some good evidence that she's broken the law, violated constitutional rights of every single person that she's had a run-in with. Anyway, but she's his ex-girlfriend, so he's going to be nice about it.
He's going to be nice to her.
But also, big surprise, Steve Trevor's now married. That's a complication. Unless you're David E. Kelly's Wonder Woman, who has no ethics. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Oh, no.
So anyway, and then so Diana becomes sad and goes home to her cat. The end. That's the synopsis.
Okay.
I mean, that's very, very valid one, too.
That's concise.
All right. So, as I mentioned, after an unsuccessful testing with audiences, NBC drops this project before the May pilot. The pilot was scheduled for May, but they killed it. Adrianne Palicki and Pedro Pascal, in interviews, both said they were really sad that this didn't happen.
Yeah.
Which I can see. I mean, they had good roles, and it would have been terrific for them. And David E. Kelly says he admits some missteps, but feels they could have corrected it over time.
If they would have been given the chance.
And then it was just 6 years later that Warner Brothers releases the Gal Gadot film, directed by Patty Jenkins. There it is. So, Jackie O, Katie Maravilla, what did you think of this?
It's okay, we used your name, right? No, that's-
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Diana Prince.
So definitely during her speech where they were talking about her action figure,
Right.
Yes.
as a woman myself, I was like, okay, I had to stop, go see if a man wrote it, because it definitely, like, I got what they were trying to do, but it did not come from a woman's perspective, and I was like, this is probably why it only made it this far.
Right.
He gave it his best shot.
He did. So there's a boardroom scene where they're talking about the
Merchandising.
And I get it that, I mean, it's an interesting idea that the merchandising funds her crime-stopping operation. That's an interesting idea. So, but they're marketing this Wonder Woman action figure, and it's very voluptuous. And she's like, I didn't sign off on this. She looks, like, this is ridiculous. Like, how much do you want to objectify me? And so there's this big argument between her and Carrie Elways about it. And so that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was, because it was already having that theme going through it in the beginning, and that scene in particular, I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. He clearly did not get a lot of input from other women that actually went through things like that. I think the ideas that they had behind it, how she has the 3 different identities, good idea, good concept, poor execution. I feel like with the cast that they had too, I mean, who doesn't love Pedro? Definitely could have pulled through, but the writing just was not there for it.
The writing sucked. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely.
Yes, I absolutely agree, and I had the same feeling during that speech. Like, I felt like she has something to say here, but she's not saying it. Like, he's not giving her the words to to express what the problem is here.
Right.
And then, weirdly, at the end of her speech,
She says she has perfect.
she says she has perfect teeth. But before that,
Yeah.
Tracy Toms, like she finally gets upset and says something about her tits, you know, like and Tracy Toms looks up at her and says, "Wonder Woman is not vulgar." And then Adrianne Palicki goes, "Yes, Wonder Woman is not vulgar." Like she's a robot. Like she has to be programmed by Tracy Toms to understand how Wonder Woman would behave. It's so weird. Like why is her assistant telling her how to respond? Like
The speech definitely went in the wrong direction. It was, like I said, I had to stop and go, okay, this was not written by a woman, because even as a cosplayer, I get stuff that is said to me along those lines to where I'm like, I'm trying to be this character, and of course, I'm also in that boat of, being heavy up top. So to actually get pissed off, I don't think it was properly conveyed during that speech.
yeah.
It was very much a borderline, but you could tell whoever wrote it didn't actually ever experience anything like that. So to have that, and then an actress who probably herself has felt that way, truly, it didn't convey what it needed to convey, for sure.
Right on. Okay. Let me just go over some notes here. Unless you had something to add, Jackie.
No. It's funny y'all brought up that scene, because that was one that stuck out to me a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's very boys-esque in that they're marketing her
Right.
as a doll.
The Boys, yeah, that's a great example.
Because, the Boys is all about corporate superheroes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of like the direction it looked like they were going with that.
So I've got just some overall good and bad, because I wanted to point out some of the good stuff.
Yeah.
But
Pedro.
some of the
Pedro.
yes.
Of course.
I'm kidding. Say, go
And
ahead.
not enough Pedro, really.
Not enough.
Like not
No.
enough at all. Like he had 2 scenes. So Wonder Woman tortures and kills people. That's at the top of my list as bad.
As bad. This is in the bad column.
Like, I mean, it just shows that David E. Kelly didn't understand the character.
No.
And I guess, I could forgive that. Like, I could forgive going in a different direction if there was some consistency with who she seemed to be. But like, like there was that speech, and then like in the next scene, she's telling the guard that she's trying to sweet talk, what do you think of my form-fitting costume?
Right.
Like, that's not something somebody who just got upset would say, I don't think.
Of
Right,
being
no.
objectified. Sorry.
Yeah.
Testing 1 2.
Hello.
So Pedro helps her get around the need for a warrant. Steve is specifically there to investigate. Wonder Woman lets it slide. His hair is terrible. The corporate worship is a weird plot device, and this is so. I do think we've gotten to a place now where like The Boys is like really astute commentary.
Yeah.
On our relationship with
A lot
I
of
don't
things.
know, corporate, the corporate ownership of things that are in the social arena. But I don't think we had that kind of sensibility back then. Back then, I think it was more about this weird sort of worship of corporate America. Like we just had this reverence for corporate America that I think was misplaced. And there was also, I don't know if I can articulate this well, but like, so around that time, so Buffy the Vampire Slayer was done, but Joss Whedon had something called the Dollhouse.
I remember Dollhouse.
Yeah, it only lasted 1 season, and it was sort of the culmination of his, and I can say this in retrospect, because I was a big Joss Whedon fan, I'll tell you, but I understand some of the issues in hindsight, that his brand of feminism isn't really necessarily feminism. It's more like fetishism.
Dollhouse, I could definitely say was.
Well, Dollhouse was the most problematic example of that because the women were both powerful and absolutely objectified in that show. And so it was kind of the height of this faux feminism where you wanted to have like girl power and positive women, but also or powerful women, I should say, but also there was this problem with still fetishizing them without understanding them, and like that was sort of all over the place. That's my remembrance of it and my perception of it, and maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know.
I never watched it.
You never watched Dollhouse?
No.
Is it Elijah Dushku?
Yeah. It was a good show. It was well done, it was well written, but the premise of it was so basically flawed. If you really looked at it from a feminist perspective, like it was absolutely objectification. Like it was the definition of objectification, and yet seemed like a girl power thing. Anyway, I digress. Also, do not ever give cameos to Nancy Grace and Dr. Phil. Ever.
I laughed so
Dude,
hard.
Dr. Phil.
So hard. But you know, Nancy Grace was hot then, though, right? Like
She was like
she was
super popular.
Yeah. There you go.
But I've always hated her.
Yes.
And so, I will just say.
And then they hit us with Dr. Phil soon after, and I was like, oh, we got everybody.
Got them
the
all.
whole so like at the beginning, after she like lassos this guy and yanks him by the neck, there's this whole sort of montage of commentators on television, and that's where we get Nancy Grace and Dr. Phil and all these other people, and somebody, you know, so there's one that's very prominent that's funny, and she says she lassos him and pulls him in like a trout, and that's kind of funny. But one I missed the first time, and I heard it the second time. They said she hopefully I wrote it down. Her lasso shoots out as she Abu Ghraibs her quarry. And Abu Ghraib, like I said, in 2004, I think, was a prison in Iraq where Americans were accused and convicted of torturing prisoners. Like, it's a really dark reference. And it's meant to evoke this, you know, this whole theme that I see in here where there's torture and, like, you know, skirting around the law to get the intel that you want, or to get the end. You know, the end justifies the means. That's basically it. But that's a really dark reference to just throw in there in a news montage.
And a little news montage. You know?
Right. Just sneak it in there real quick. No big deal.
So that's enough badness. Let me just tell you, the jet. I thought the jet was the coolest thing ever.
Okay, so I was excited about the jet.
Okay.
However, I hope that was something that they were going to kind of fix too.
They probably were, actually, because
Like
there
with
was a
more
little
of an
code.
opaque, yeah.
Well, you know, I never thought about that, but like that very well could be what the little code was about. Was that they were going to make it invisible.
Yeah.
And just, you know, but like have all that. The cool thing about the jet was that it was so small.
Yes, I was glad it wasn't like some huge thing, or they just had her sitting like Mermaid Man, or what is it, Merman from SpongeBob? Like, nothing like her just sitting there. So I was super excited to see the jet the way it was done.
Yeah. So I love the jet. And, you know, I didn't think about that until you said that, but they were going to make it invisible, I'm sure of it now.
I hope so.
Because why not? I mean, you know,
That's what it's
we
supposed to
practically have that technology. And in fact, it was a little bit shaped like, what are those fighters that are like, you know, they look like a big Tesla. They're, they're meant to repel radar. I don't remember what they're called.
be. Nah,
They were
I've
big back in the day, but people don't talk about them anymore.
Stealth bombers?
Stealth bombers, yeah. Must be because they're invisible now.
never- We could only hope.
We can only hope. I love the fight scene. That was the highlight for me. The fight scene.
It was really good.
It was really good, and the cool thing about it was that the effects weren't there yet. So you kind of got a tutorial on when they needed like harnesses, when they had, you know, people Because sometimes those harnesses and wires aren't just to make people like fly, but they're just to keep them safe. Like keep them safe while they do some flip or something.
Right.
But it was super cool. I loved it.
Yeah, I definitely, I had to stop and go back because I was like, is that harnesses I'm seeing? And then, because she was up on the trailer at that point, or on the top of it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I believe
she
so.
was up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it was really interesting to see, and I love their incorporation of her lasso.
Yes.
Even for the time, it was really well done.
Yeah, I will say that. So for all the complaints about the lasso of truth not being like a magical implement that she used,
Right.
she used it as a weapon really well. Like that was really effective. And which they didn't really get to do in the TV show. She would occasionally use it, but she used it like frequently during one fight, like just whipping it around and stuff. It was very cool. And of course, as we've mentioned, the cast is phenomenal. Pedro Pascal. Except, I don't know, I didn't love Steve Trevor. He was too young.
He was very much, he gave me baby vibes.
Yeah.
I was definitely... Yeah.
And I get, they were probably doing a thing where they were like using a younger audience or trying to draw a younger audience, but like he was just too young looking to be
even for her, as gorgeous and young as she is, it just still seemed off. Like the match wasn't there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a great observation. There was no chemistry at all. And as I said, with a better writer, a better pilot, I think Adrianne Palicki could have been a great Wonder Woman.
She hit the part. She was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she had, even though her character was written to have no empathy at all.
Hey guys!
Hello!
Are you filming?
We're filming. Come on, join us. What the hell?
Oh no, that's okay. I'll wait till you're done.
Okay.
It's Jess. So even though she was written to have no empathy or moral center, Adrianne Palicki still had this kindness about her that I think is essential for any
100%.
person who plays Wonder Woman.
When she did the Diana Prince piece where she was at her apartment and building her Facebook page and stuff, you could tell she really wanted to channel that a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think with the right writers, she would have been able to really encompass that character like she should have.
Yeah.
So it was hard to watch just because she could do it and she fits it physically, and then just she wanted more.
Yeah.
And she still had the badass touch.
Yeah.
Like she was still able to whoop ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Like that's definitely something that Adrianne Palicki is like excellent at. Like she's played great action characters for sure.
For sure.
She's got the power.
She's got the power.
I have a few more notes, but like, how are you doing over there, Jackie?
I'm good. I'm sorry. I had to deal with something
Okay.
quickly on my phone.
But you don't have to leave or anything.
No. Nothing like that.
Okay.
No,
And
no,
how are you doing?
A lot better now. More comfortable. More
That's
comfortable.
great. All right, so I have just a few more observations that I just want to whip through here. Yeah, she actually she sneers in the opening scene. Like she's the crowd is yelling, "We love you, Wonder Woman," and she gives a sneer. Like that's how they want to open. Like her first line is, "If I hand him over to you, he's going to lawyer up," she says to the cop. So her first line is about, "I want to flout the law.
Yeah.
The justice system sucks."
It was immediate no.
Yeah.
I was like, what has Stan got me watching right now?
And then she walks away. The crowd's yelling, "We love you, Wonder Woman," and she sneers. And that's like, and you can tell it's this iconic walk that they're trying to film, to get this great look. Because, her hair is flowing and everything.
I like that they chose the pants too. It was nice to see the pants.
Yeah, so they did this thing where she wore the pants through. She had these blue pants, right? And in the photos that a lot of people have probably seen, she has blue boots, but she had red boots in the show.
Right.
And she had those blue pants, and she had them all the way through until the final fight, and then she had shorts on.
Yes.
But those pants were cool.
You needed room for the activity.
That's right.
The flexibility needed to be there, and pants just don't give that.
You gotta breathe. What's going on in there? I'm still good.
Are you?
I think so. Why, do you need another one?
Yeah.
Go ahead and, well, here.
Chug it, chug it, chug it.
Yes.
Stand, 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 stand.
Thank you.
This couch is
Milkshake?
going to swallow me whole.
Mick Ultra.
Nicole.
I gotta settle down here.
Watch his figure.
Mick Ultra. Yeah, that's right. My
94
figure.
calories.
I gotta go back to that 40 pounds ago in 2010. So there's something where she like really rolled her eyes at like, oh, she says to the mother, so the mother of this teenage boy who's a victim of this drugging, who she says, the mother says, I want to kill Veronica Cale. I want to kill her.
Yeah.
I know that's terrible, but I want to kill her. And Wonder Woman says to her, I know you want vengeance, but let's leave that to me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of good at it.
Yeah, that whole scene was really weird. Like, one, I can understand the mother expressing the anger and the hatred and the violence, but even just the way it was done in this, I want to kill her. Like, they're plotting a murder.
Yeah.
That was premeditation. That was not like I'm acting out of emotion right now and like, yeah, I'm going to kill her if I ever see her on these streets kind of thing. It was not Wonder Woman plot with me.
Okay, so here it is. It's towards the end where Elizabeth Hurley says, you are about to meet your equal, Wonder Woman, the American criminal justice system. And Wonder Woman literally rolls her eyes. Like, oh, the American justice system.
I was waiting on the CSI thing of they'll meet me first. like, that's the vibe it gave, for sure.
So anyway, I think those are all my notes. All the important ones anyway. So I will say, I'm going to say publicly, there's no need for you to see this pilot.
I'm going to disagree. You should absolutely watch it. Because if I had to, you should.
If she had to do it, you people need to like, step up.
I mean, if nothing else,
Put in the sacrifice.
Just to see Pedro and even Carrie, like,
Pedro and Carrie Elwes, in spite of, I didn't really notice Pedro's hair. I know that Carrie Elwes' hair was terrible.
Pedro doesn't have his mustache, which threw me off for a second. I was
it's
like, oh,
weird.
look at baby Pedro.
Baby Pedro. Yes.
But it was a solid cast, though. It really was a solid
Absolutely
cast.
a great cast, for sure.
The writing was definitely the downfall.
Yeah. David E. Kelly, you have some splaining to do. That's all I
What
have to say.
mistakes do you think you should have fixed? Because we have a list.
That's right. All right. So, thanks for joining us.
Of course, you know I love hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, and we're going to do another Wonder Woman Wednesday soon. I'm starting up the second season. Very
I'm
soon.
super excited for you.
Although I don't know. I might take a break. I was going to go right into it. But I looked at my my Apple podcast reviews. Mm-hmm. There are only 2, and they both hate me.
What? Why?
I don't know. I think that's just what people do with reviews.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're never really gonna, even with just like businesses, this is something I do in my actual job where I have to explain while I'm training people.
Yeah.
You know, people go to the internet faster to complain than they will to praise.
That's crazy.
So definitely keep that in mind. I think it's
Okay.
fantastic.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you, Jackie.
Yes.
So I'm going to say, if you Wonder Woman listeners, Wonder Woman Wednesday listeners, like my podcast and listen on Apple Podcasts, please put in a positive review. I was just telling Katie, the 2 reviews I have on my podcast are incredibly negative.
Why?
Well, one doesn't like it, and I totally get that. Like, if they don't like me, they don't like me. That's
They don't
fine.
like you or they don't like the idea.
They specifically don't like me, but that's okay. Like, they actually love the idea. They're like, there are so few...
Don't you worry. Vengeance is for me, not for you.
Well, thank you. But I don't mind somebody not liking me. But, like, the other person, said that I've admitted twice that I haven't watched the episodes that I review. Like, they made up some weird thing that's not true.
You've seen them all.
And I don't, well, yeah, I specifically watch, let me just say, in my own defense, I watch every episode at least twice to review it. Like, you have to, because, like, you have to talk about all the stuff.
Yeah.
So, I don't understand why they said that. They're like, don't listen to this podcast, because he admitted twice that he doesn't even watch the episodes that he reviews. And I'm like, how did you get that information? Well, that's so weird.
That is, I was
Like-
literally,
Like,
so
why
weird.
make stuff up? Anyway.
He comes with notes, ladies and gentlemen. There are pages here.
Pages of
Look
notes.
at all the notes.
There's stuff that I don't even remember, and I only watched it once.
And there's stuff I didn't read, but I already talked too much. So anyway, if you like the podcast, hey, give a good Apple review.
Give it a good Apple review.
The Apple podcast.
Where do we
review.
find that out?
Well,
'Cause that's my problem.
The Apple thing or the actual. Well, you can go to WonderWomanWednesdays.com, and then it says it has a list where all the platforms are, and there's an Apple Podcast one. So you just click that, and you go to the Apple Podcast thing, and you can download a.
Well, we're gonna
podcast
fix it.
We're gonna fix it.
We're gonna fix it.
We're gonna fix
Anyway,
that.
so, and by the way, it's so weird because like this is a live video, and so the next episode that Wonder Woman Wednesdays will be the interview that I did with Ellie Wood Walker, who was the first live-action Wonder Woman back in the Batman era.
Really?
1967. Yeah. Yeah, I interviewed her.
I had no idea.
It's crazy. Yeah, she's awesome. She's been in a couple of movies and she's like really cool. And so I talked to her, and so that's the next one that's coming out. This, even though this live stream like for the real guys happened like now.
Happened today.
Today?
It's happening right now. It's live.
This recording, I will edit. I'll probably edit this part out because
Good.
I've
All my
already had
weird
too many
gestures.
beers.
No. We're just getting started, man. What are you talking about?
This part will be broadcast, dropped, whatever they call.
Oh, whatever
podcast.
those kids say.
Whatever the kids say.
Whatever the kids are saying these days.
In a month. So that'll be after the Ellie Wood Walker thing.
Yeah.
And then theoretically after that is I'll start the second season, and my wife and I will do the first episode of the second season of the Linda Carter show.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then it goes on from there, perhaps.
What about what are your plans for Comic-Con Junior? Do you have any?
I don't, but we should go. When is it?
October?
October.
When in October? Not the end, right?
You're asking a lot.
The only thing is I have a thing at the first weekend of November. I have to be with the Charlotte Geeks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we can do a.
They stopped inviting me, huh?
It's October 27th.
That's probably the weekend before.
That's Halloween weekend.
They haven't stopped inviting you.
Okay.
I'll make sure that they invite you.
Okay.
We'll do a promo for them. I told them I'd be a geeky elf.
For what?
I can do it for the Charlotte Geeks. They have
It's
a
another
Muggles Market
convention.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not called the Muggles Market anymore. Anyway, you know what? I'm fading.
No.
Oh, should we keep going? I mean, we can keep going. I can keep going. As long as Diana Prince has cider, we can keep going.
100%. It's gonna get weird though.
That's okay.
That's right. It's gonna get real weird real fast.
So
long
you're
as you
gonna
don't
be
lose
a
a shoe,
You're
you
gonna be
know.
a Comic-Con Junior?
I don't know yet. I'm actually going in Europe next month, so I've got to see what it looks like after that, money-wise.
Wow.
I check
okay.
finances after something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. A lot of folks are going. You don't go to Dragon Con, do you?
I do. I'm not going this year, but all of my superhero group in Greenville, those guys are all going. And seeing the progress on their costumes has been awesome.
Yeah.
I admire all of them. I could never.
No.
Give a shout out. Who are they?
You got Sadie, Danny.
Isn't there a group?
There is a group, but some of them have moved on.
Okay.
So yes, I am a member of the SC Upstate Heroes group. We still do charity events, things like that locally. But
She visits children in the hospital, for God's sake.
Super cool.
I do. It's one of the more rewarding things that I do with the Wonder Woman costume.
Yes.
That's been 10 years now.
Wow.
Like it's been a long time. I've got to upgrade some of the things. But seeing some of my friends, the progress on their costumes, like I said, Sadie, Danny, they are killing it. Absolutely killing it. I just would never have the patience to be able to put stuff together like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely excited to see what people bring to Dragon Con. Have you guys ever been?
I used to go all the time. I went, but like back in the late aughts.
Back in his ute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went last year for the full time from like Thursday to that Monday. All of us got to get together for that, which was awesome. It's a lot. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Do you do Mad Monster?
No, I forgot about it. I wanted to go. I'm also deathly afraid of Freddy Krueger.
Okay.
So, you'll run into that.
You're going to run into that if you go there.
Yeah.
That might be a hazard for you.
And that's what I hear. And then he does like to participate. The guy, Robert Englund.
England, yeah.
Robert Englund, yeah.
I would love to meet him, but I'm also like, I can't put that.
Can't separate the man.
I can't. I really can't. It's terrifying. My mom makes fun of me all the time still. Thanks, Mom. She's probably watching because, of course, she loves you guys. But
Yay!
All right. Leave a positive Apple review, please.
I'll teach you how to later, Mom.
All right. Well, my gosh, thank you guys. This was great.
I had a lot of fun.
We'll do it again. We'll see how the audio went. I'm a little worried about the audio because the phone is way over there.
It's all right. People are commenting or something.
I hope they're not commenting that the
They're
audio
commenting that the audio sucks. We
Can't
can't hear
hear you
you.
guys
We can't
at
hear you.
We
I'm
see
very
your
sorry.
mouths moving.
Here's the problem. We should have gotten Joe Young to do this. Mighty Joe.
Mighty Joe.
He would have helped me with this equipment. You guys, you wouldn't believe this weird setup that I've got. I've got a laptop here to record the audio, but like the mic for the live stream is way over there.
And there's a light right here you probably can see in my glasses, which you haven't mentioned anything about.
Oh my god.
I noticed,
glasses.
but I also was like, I haven't seen you in years, so I didn't know if I was just late to the party.
Tuesday.
Wow.
Tuesdays when I
you
got
came
these.
in, I
You
thought
look super smart now.
Do I?
Yeah, and then you've already got the little
I've got the little.
point down.
Yeah.
Just don't be like me and leave your glasses in the car because I can't see anything.
do you feel like you can
There
see better?
are individual whiskers on your face. It's not just like a gray blob.
Fantastic.
No, yeah, I can see a lot better with them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
How are you?
Do you want to talk about your CPAP? You don't have to.
No, I don't.
I'll
So
talk
that's
about
where
mine.
we are now.
I love my CPAP.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you not like
It's
complete-
all in the mask. You just have to find the right mask for you. Like everybody has a different one.
Yeah.
You find the right one and you'll sleep like a baby.
I don't know. I have yet to sleep with that damn thing on.
Yeah. Sorry.
Meanwhile,
Meanwhile,
I just
in the land
snore
of the young.
in my bed alone. I have no one to tell me that I stopped breathing in the middle of the night.
I don't know. Who knows?
All right. So thank you for joining us. This has been a weird experiment, and we will assess afterward if this was even like worthwhile. But I think it was.
I
My
enjoyed
gosh.
it.
It was worthwhile for me. I got to hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That's all that counts.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We are the Real Guys and Friends.
Fix the Apple reviews.
Yeah, please do.
Come on, guys.
Wishing you peace
Love.
and
Vengeance. Oh, wait.
perfection. All right.